Hey guys, welcome back to Release the Craftin. Priscilla here with another edition of the Paper Doll Brawl. That's hashtag Paper Doll Brawl if you want to follow along or create along with us. It is, if you're joining me for the first time, an open collaboration that I have with Lori over at PewDiePie Designs. I will link her channel down below. She's tagged in the video. Definitely go check her out because you guys, this is a really fun collab and I'm having a lot of fun. I'm also very excited and also trying to like restrain myself from like bombarding her with video after video. So I'm trying to be good, but I'm very excited because she had a problem. She had too many paper dolls and she needed some solutions on how to use these guys up. So she sent me some on the condition, because she said she'll just send them to get rid of them, and I was like, no ma'am, we're going to use them, and we're going to collaborate together on using these up. So she sent me some, we're collaborating, I'm going to give you guys some ideas on how to use them, but also, this is like a back and forth collaboration. So the way that this works is that each one of us is adding a prompt to this chain, and so last video I did, the prompt was burn, and I burnt my paper dolls. And so then Lori added in her own prompt, which was Pumpkinhead. So she made a project using burning and pumpkin heads, and now it's back in my court. So I have to do something with pumpkin heads and something else. And that something else today is going to be it's going to be playing cards because I have an abundance and I would like to use them. So we're going to do something with pumpkin heads and playing cards and paper dolls. Now, before I jump into it, I'm just going to say a lot of you guys asked some really good questions, so I wanted to cover that. This is an open collab, so you're more than welcome to join in. Just use the hashtag so we can see what you're making. If you want to follow the prompts that we're doing, that's great. If you just want to throw up some ideas for your own paper doll creations, also great. I would love to see it, so definitely make sure that I can tag me, make sure that your profiles are public so that I can see it. If I'm not following you already, I would love to see what you make. So yes, definitely jump in. You can jump in at any point. You can just pick up one of the prompt words that inspires you. So far we have burn, we have pumpkin heads, and now we have playing cards. So jump in, join the paper doll brawl, and use up some of these guys. The second question that was asked the most was, they don't have to be the Tim Holtz paper dolls. These are just the ones that Lori had, so that's what we're using. You can use any paper doll. If it is a person figure that you are cutting out of paper, it is a paper doll. So if you have magazines, book pages, things like that that you can use that have people in them, chop those little suckers out and join the fun. You don't have to go out and buy anything to join this challenge. The idea is to use up the stuff that we have, so that's what we're doing. So yeah, I'm gonna cut away with the magic of editing, and we're just gonna start making some stuff. Okay, so for this particular paper doll brawl, we're gonna make a mess. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a big mess, and I know last time I said trust the process, but like really trust the process here. Okay, so I found some paper dolls that I liked. It was like a bride and these three little like flower girls, and I thought, what if they were a pumpkin wedding? And that's sort of what I went with. And then I just started grabbing every bit of random paper on my desk, all that scrap paper that I'm still trying to work through, that's just been living on my desk rent-free this entire time, and without any care in the world. This was very important. Without any care in the world, I just started splitting it up, sorting it out, and just going for like a mix of textures and paperweights, because I'm using some like packaging paper as my background, so I needed like some heavier papers to give it some body, so it would have some heft, but also like I didn't want it to be all heavy papers because then it would be too chunky. So we just mixed up the papers, right? And then I'm not even really being particular about how I'm like collaging these together. I'm just more sort of like, let's put some textures down and see what happens. And I honestly, this works the best for scraps that you don't care about. If you are precious about your scraps, you will be very sad doing this process. But like I said, I'm not even like really trying to spend that much time layering all these papers together. I'm also low-key at some point regretting my decision to make 4 of these, because I could have just left all those girls together and put them on one card, but no. I made 4. So here we are. Although I am happy that I made a considerable dent in this paper scrap stash. But as you can see, I'm tossing them on here. I'm not even really taking that much time to think about it. I don't want to be too fussy or particular about anything. I do like try to think about composition a little bit, and a little bit about like which textures I want the most visible. Mind you, a lot of this will get covered up. So like, again, do not be precious. Put your paper down, glue it down, get it all stuck together. We're going on a ride, right? So I'm going to separate these little girls because I decided I needed multiples and not just 2 cards. But it's a choice I regret the entire time. And then I remembered that I had to do something with these playing cards because I forgot literally while I was just in that meditative state of randomly collaging. And then I remembered that I also picked up some tissue paper. You know, like the kind that you put in presents and stuff. I think that's what it's called, tissue paper. Now I'm doubting my own words here. Who cares? Doesn't matter. I glued it down because I want the texture of like crumply paper on top of these cards. I also don't want the playing card to be like the focal feature. It's just part of this whole like setup. So we're not trying to preserve the integrity of the playing card. It's just becoming part of the background. So because I was crap at gluing the first time, I have to go back and fix my edges, do a better job gluing. You won't have to do this. But honestly, it did not take me that much like time to do, so it wasn't that big of an obstacle. Very, very easy to achieve. And then I'm going to go over it with some tea dye because I want everything to look like a little bit old and grungy to match the look and feel of the paper dolls themselves because they're vintage pictures. So I want it to all look like that. But I also want to have like little pops of color, and since the background has some blues in it, I decided to use my Salvage Patina Oxide spray on top of that, on top of the walnut spray that I also used. What's it called? Walnut ink? Walnut stain, that's what it's called. So there's a couple of old grungy colors in here, that pop of color a little bit too. And then since I gessoed that book page, I then went back over with the tea dye and then added some lost shadow in the regular Distress ink to break it up, but then I decided that it wasn't enough, so I went back with the Distress Oxide lost shadow to add some more of like a washed out like sort of milky texture. And then I'm just figuring out that the like circumference of my chapstick is the right size for their pumpkin heads. So I'm going to use that as my template, and then I'm just going to sketch out some pumpkin shapes, and pumpkins they're just circles on circles. So this is definitely very doable. Circles on circles, you just continue to expand outward until you have enough pumpkins. I decided because the girls were younger, they would only get a little tiny pumpkin, and then because the bride is older, she would have the most developed pumpkin. I think that's how pumpkins in the pumpkin patch work. So I'm going to fussy cut those out and then spend some time hemming and hawing over what the final outcome should look like, because I couldn't decide if I wanted to sketch in everything with like that black pen and bring out some black details, or if I wanted it to be more of a natural look. And what I settled on was using these Distress watercolor pencils that I never use, but I'm determined to use a lot, in Rusty Hinge and the brown one. I don't know. I use that one too. So I go back in to add in our pumpkin details and, you know, get those shapes defined again. And then I had to test it out to see if I liked the idea of, like watercoloring them to bring up the color more or not. And I also needed some pumpkin stems. I didn't want to draw the pumpkin stems on. I wanted to like make those separate. So after testing it out, it worked. I decided we're going to go over with a water pen and just sort of bring those lines a little bit up to the forefront and add a little bit of like a watercolory effect to it, so it looks like they were always pumpkins. And then I'm just going to cut out some stem shapes, and like that's really, it's a freestyle shape. There's really not like a right or wrong way to do a pumpkin stem. It sticks out of the top of the pumpkin. So I don't know how else to explain to you. I dig myself a little foot so that I could glue the stem to the tops of the pumpkins. And then, after doing this very fiddly work with these very tiny pumpkins, I could have made them bigger and saved myself the fiddliness of this, but it was worth it. It was fine. I wanted the heads to be proportional to the bodies, and that's how we ended up here. I decided to go over and ink them up with some scorched timber, I think that is. I can't read it from here. But some scorched timber, I think, yeah, I'm confident. Distress ink, and then I went over and inked everything else so that it would also have the same vibe. And now everything's getting nice and grungy, and it's all coming together in this, like, pastel, grunge, Halloween pumpkin wedding thing that I settled on. And then I decided, instead of just sketching in all the little pumpkin faces, I have these rub-ons from Tim Holtz that I have never used the pumpkin faces for. So why not now? And they come in 2 different sizes. They come in a tiny size and a big size. So it was like serendipitous. It was perfect because the tiny size fit the tiny ones, the big one, you know why. And the faces look great. I actually really like them. I like how they came out. I like that there's some like doubtful faces here, some of these skeptical faces. There's a goofy face, and then just like the traditional jack-o'-lantern face. Like I liked the little mix of faces. I like that one of the flower girls looks a little bit concerned about the events that are going on. And then I decided to take this leaf trim and cut the leaves off so that I could add some leaves to our pumpkins, because that's what I felt was missing, was another pop of color and some texture and some leaves, because pumpkins have leaves, and I didn't want to draw pumpkin leaves. I was done drawing stuff at this point in the game. So I just tucked some leaves back in here in a sort of random assortment of different sort of variety of ways so that they're all a little bit individual. And of course I give the bride the most because she's the bride. And she's also the most grown pumpkin in the batch. So after determining where the cards have to go, then I have to, like, you know, accept that I'm going to cover up anything that I thought was important because the cards are bigger than I anticipated. But it works. It still works. We still got a lot of cool, fun textures in there. So I stick those down. And then I decided that I don't think the layers and the glue was all going to work together, so we stapled it in there. But we did it artfully. So I added in some, like, crosses and things that look like, you know, like the card was, like, stitched down with staples. So just added some fun effects. And then this string wanted to be the star of the show. It kept falling out of my little mini trash can. So now it's part of the show. It wasn't in the plan, but it's part of the show because I was like, fine, you want to be here? You're going to be here. So I just chopped it up into 4 different parts and stuck it behind another little bit of texture and visual interest to go with our little cards here. And then I realized that because I cut these girls apart that there was a lot of retail space now left, and I could have added like a little journaling spot or something, but I have this like digital sheet of buzzwords. This was a Patreon reward, so I'm using it because I printed out. And I found some words that were sort of wedding-ish related, but not like super wedding related. But there's like dedication and celebration and alignment and commitment. So those were the right types of words for this thing. So I stuck those down. So now we have a little sentiment to go with these. And I liked how that was looking, but then I was like, what else can we do? Something else. And the something else was stamping. So I decided to use this stamp because it's been living on my desk this entire time. It's like a chicken wire stamp. And it goes with pumpkins, I think. Pumpkins, farms, chicken wire, we're in the right place. So I just used some distress ink to stamp that in there. And then I decided that we needed some more pops of like gold because there was a little bit of gold on some of the background papers. And then this is where my spray like betrays me because it decided to spray sideways. The nozzle was clogged, so I had to work around that because I wasn't going to fuss with it too much. But then I was like, I like this, but it needs more. So after cleaning up this entire mess that spray bottle made, I went back through with some wax, and it's like a vintage gold color wax, and it's a little bit different gold color. So I went over the like crumbly edges of that tissue paper to bring those back up so that you could see them better after we did all the grunging to them. I also think it adds a nice effect, and then it adds a nice little shine to the dresses so everybody's sparkling and looking fun. And then I decided it needed some brown splatters, so I got my walnut ink spray, just the stain one. I don't know what they're called anymore. The words are really hard. And decided to add some splatters that way so that we could have some darker values brought back to the front. And as you can see, I didn't wear a glove, so I absolutely stained my finger. So if you guys were in my live, you saw this grungy brown finger. And that's it. That is everything we did. I can't wait to see what Lori does with playing cards for her paper doll brawl, and definitely go check her out. Make sure you're following her, all the stuff, so that you can see what happens next, what the next prompt is. So yeah, that's gonna be it for me, guys. I appreciate your faces. Thanks for hanging in there, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Until then, guys, happy crafting. Bye.